All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. We're gonna do a little bit of door and window framing. Behind me, you'll see a window framed, and this is a door frame, and I'm gonna show you guys how I do it step by step. I've done this in the past, but I'm gonna try and do an updated video with a little bit better cinematography. Thank you to Michael, the videographer, who can get into these nice tight spaces and show you guys the intricate details. So this is what we're gonna be building, but we're gonna be doing on the other side of the building because we've got kind of the exact same situation going on. So let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is figure out my header height because that's what I'm going to establish. And I loosely call what I'm gonna do a header because this is one of the beautiful things about post frame. You can tell we have the building up, we have the roof on, and I'm just now installing my window and door frames because I don't have to worry about any sort of headers. Everything that is weight bearing is right here on a post. So in between, I can kind of get away with doing just about anything. And I say that loosely also, but I'm gonna determine my header height based off my walk door. So we're gonna have the same header height, which is 82.5. And I know this line and I know this line dimension, so I can very easily just subtract that and I'll be able to use this or even that one up there to make a quick header mark. So you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Minus 39 inch, minus 32 inch. This is gonna be based on wherever you want your window height, so this isn't something that's set in stone. This is just how we like to do it. But I've got a line here that I set this gird off of, which is all based off of a laser mark, and I want my header height at 11.5 inches above that. So what we're gonna do is set a nail, which I don't have, so I guess it's gonna be a screw. Like so. And we're gonna build the window first. So we've got all of our windows prepped, cut. I always like to find good boards. There's 2 of those. Here's our window box. We'll just set this here. And then we've got some miscellaneous blocking that we need. All right, so this should be all the pieces I need for my window. So you don't need a plate level for this, but I do like using the plate level for my top because specifically this one right here is the digital version. So when I'm by myself, if you're over here as I'm going to be fastening, it's hard to see a bubble in the middle of a level. So what I can do with the plate level, I can turn it on. We're gonna do a little prep work. And that's setting myself a screw so I don't have to do it later. So now we can set this plate level right on top. Nice thing about a plate level is it's end to end. Let's turn this on. Boom. So I don't have to see it, I can hear it. And that way I know that this guy is level. I wouldn't say perfect because look at the twist on that board, but we're gonna make it good. Man, 0.05 degrees off. What a bunch of hacks we are. I'm gonna play this. Good, I think we're good. All right, so now that we have our header, we do not need this anymore because I know that my window is 3 foot tall. So what I can do is come off the bottom of this guy. I'm gonna mark 3 foot on both sides, knowing that this is gonna be level to each other. Just so we don't get confused. I know, I shouldn't put these fasteners in my mouth, but they just taste so good. right, so these are what I call headers, header and sill, but it's just a 2x4, and there's not gonna be any weight bearing down on this, so I don't have to worry too much. My next step, once I have this, is I need to determine the location. And for us, what we're doing is I'm starting my steel on the corner of my building, which means every 3 foot or every 9 inches, I'll have a rib, and we wanna lay our windows out in the centers of a rib because that helps us with our proper drainage on our trims, on the edge of the windows. And I'm also pushing it over this way as far as I can to this post just for the aesthetics purpose. So let me do the quick math in my head. Let's say somewhere in here would be center, which 12.9 and 13.6. So 13.6 for me is the center of a rib. That's about as far over as I can go for my window frame. So that is where our window is going to be. Now, if you don't want a window, or you want a window where a post is, you can do that. It just means you have to header across 2 post bays or add an additional post, which a lot of times for our clients, it's just not that important. You know, it's not that deep. We're just putting a window in for some aesthetics, for some light. And unless we're building a house that has a real purpose, like a bedroom or a kitchen or a sink somewhere, and then that's my job to design it so that we don't have to worry about it and not have a post there. Okay, 4 foot opening on our window, so I'm just gonna make a quick 2 foot mark. That's my center line. Allows me to know exactly where it's gonna be. Okay, so we're just gonna line this up, make sure we're flush. Screw off this bottom. Okay, now we need to plumb the window up. And I probably should have mentioned this early, but you want to make sure that your walls are also already locked in and plumb, which in a post frame sometimes doesn't happen until the steel gets installed. But we did already do our bracing, we've got chains, so we're gonna be good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and get a screw prepped. That's pretty much beautiful. Good. So now that locks our window in, plumb and level. And it should be square since we cut all these with the right dimension. Notice everything is flushing out nice. All right, now that we have the box installed, what we want to do is we've got this blocking that we need to install, and this is so that we can cut this out and install our window. So what I always do is I always cut my blocking, bottom of sill, top of header. So that's the dimension. It's gonna go right on the back side. We're gonna get a screw in. Top, screw. Okay, and then what we wanna do is make sure that this is flush here. And I always tie these 2 pieces together. I'm gonna add a couple more screws. I like using GRK screws because they go in real nice. I don't have to worry about splitting, and they suck everything in real nice and tight. So now we're gonna attach this girt to this frame, and I'm gonna mark back 3.5. This is what I'm gonna cut out so I can put a face frame in and finish out my window. Now this is a little bit unique because we are trying to hug this post so much. I've got this space that is open. Now what I can do is, I don't necessarily need blocking because I have a post, but I'm gonna go ahead and rip down a board. I gotta get my table saw out anyway. That'll fit right in here. Yeah. Just for solid backing, and then I can get this all finished out. So I gotta go get my table saw. Ugh. Yeah, I'm glad we didn't put the steel up today. It's definitely plenty windy. So normally we use a 2x4, but 2x4 is going to be like right here, and it just doesn't make sense. If we go with a full 2x6 face on this side, it'll give us a nice, secured connection. So now we want to set our depth of our saw to 1.5 inches, and that is so we can cut through here without doing any cuts into the lumber underneath. Maybe, oh, there we go. And we're actually going to just go ahead and use some leverage. You're better off not even trying to pull those out. If it doesn't come out, just leave it in. Okay, so this will now be our face. Now, I know you might be saying, well, what about this little crack right here? Well, I don't have to worry about it actually, because as long as I get a screw into here with my steel, like this crack doesn't really change anything. The nice thing is by doing the 2x6, I bridge this gap and I can secure this to the post. So we just flushed up the inside. And we're just gonna screw this face frame onto this window. And then over here, we're gonna do the 2x4, which is what we would normally do. Okay, so this is a window frame. I know it seems super unconventional to most stick framers, but once the steel goes all around this thing will be locked in solid. I mean, as it is, it's actually pretty solid, but no headers. I think it's a great benefit to a post frame because you can just come in and put your windows wherever you want and you're good to go. So that is the window frame install. Any questions with that, drop them down below. But now let's go ahead and get into the door frame install, which is gonna go right here. All right, so when framing the door and the windows, what we do is for our boxes, these posts, they're laminated and milled down to 5 3/8. That's the dimension of them. So what I also need to do is 2x6 lumber that I'm gonna use for my door frame or my door jambs is 5.5. I don't want 5.5, I want 5 3/8. So it's just something that we have to do. We have to make sure that we rip down, these are my jambs. I'm gonna rip it down to 5 3/8. I could probably get away with 5.5 and nobody would really know the difference. But because I know and Greg knows, he would chastise me if I didn't rip them down anyway. So we're gonna rip that 1/8 inch off and get them to the same dimension as our columns. All right, now that we got our boards ripped down, I actually think I have to do one more board for my header, but we might already have that done somewhere. Maybe this guy? No, okay. I don't know if this is a good board or not. Oh, yeah, it is. Perfect. Okay, one more rip. All right, now we're ready to go ahead and get this door framed up. Now, we're gonna lay this out also thinking about the ribs of steel. If you're gonna be sheeting it and doing something different, you don't have to think about that, but we do because we want this door to be centered on a rib. So I know I'm gonna have a rib right here at 3 foot off this corner. So that's gonna be the center of our door. Now I also know that my door opening, my rough opening, is 40.5. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to line up my tape at 30.25. You might be like, what the heck? Why would you do 30.25? Well, 30.25 minus 10 is 20.25, which is half of 40.5, right? And I know that may seem crazy or awkward or silly to think of it that way, but what I like to do is always mark somewhere in the tape measure, not the end of a tape measure. So if I would have just gone 20.25, then I would have had to mark the edge of my tape, and you see how this moves around? It just doesn't seem as accurate to me. And if you're trying to do good work, just go ahead and do it. And for me, I have to do something like this in order to be as precise as I feel comfortable with. So by going 30.25, I can mark 10 inches, and I can add 10 to 40.5 and go 50.5. So now I will have the edges of my door at 40.5 total. And I feel like that's the most accurate way that I find to do it, and it's easy for me. So now that we have this, this should be 40.5. Always good to double check. Now, this grade board is a 7.25 2x8. Our finished floor is 4 inches up on that grade board. So what I need to do is I'm going to measure up 4 inches, like so. And then I'm going to make sure that it's level from one end to the other. It just doesn't make sense to get a laser out for this. This is easy enough. As long as I can see my bubble, good Lord, that's low. Okay. All right, so now what I need to do is I need to cut this out because that is actually where the frame of my door is going to go. And that's low to the ground, so that's gonna be a little tricky. All right, I just gotta move some of this gravel out of my way so I can get my saw low enough to the ground. Okay. Whoa, that sucker's pulling up big time. That's not good. I don't know if that's gonna help me in this situation. Oh boy, there's something going on there. Actually, look at it from the mill. You see this? That must have been a weird spot in the wood, a hard spot. That's kind of weird. That was interesting. Okay, so now we're just gonna go ahead and finish this off. That was not perfect right there. My blade just dug right down in there. I'm not really sure why. Like I said, oh, probably this knot right here. But it's okay because we're actually gonna be laminating, and the next step I will show you is we're gonna be laminating another treated board to the backside since we did weaken that board. I mean, it's still plenty strong enough. It's gonna get concrete poured against it eventually, but we're gonna laminate it and double it up. Okay. And that's just to stiffen this up, and it gives us a bigger threshold to set our door. From this point right here, I just need to get marks up this wall. So if I'm reading the level bubble, yeah, I would have said that was pretty much perfect. Sucker is sensitive too. If I move that even remotely, you can actually change the settings on the plate level so that it's degrees, percentage, or let's see, here we got inches per foot. Okay, so now when I do that, we're gonna see 0 versus on this level, 1/8 inch out, 1/4 inch pitch. I don't know what that is, if it's like 1/4 per foot, I don't really know. So I just always keep this sucker in degrees because it's like the most sensitive and therefore probably the most accurate. But anyway, now that we have that done, we can go ahead and frame in our jambs to those marks. If this one's plumb, I actually don't have to plumb this up. It's always kind of good to just double check. Yes, okay. I always want to make sure that my dimension stays the same. So, you know, if there's an error somewhere, I get an opportunity to correct it now versus just going off of these marks I made. I mean, yeah, the plate level should be accurate enough, but it's just something I like to do. Make sure that my dimensions are staying the same, which was the 40.5. All right, now that we have the jambs installed, we can put our header together. So we've got one board ripped down, should be cut to length. Let's hope it's the right length. Looks like it may be a little snug because my post has got a little twist to it. Okay. So now what we want to make sure when we are at this point is that these are flush. So you want to use a good straight board here at this point because it's going to take out, see this, I can push this. This board here could have a little bit of a bow in it, and I'm going to take that out right now by just moving this. And then we're going to want to make sure it's square. Okay. Yeah. All right, so now that the header is installed and fastened to our jambs, it's not great over here on the end, or it's not good over here on the end because it needs to get pulled back and straightened. Right now, I was mainly wanting this to be flush. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take our header and I'm gonna start screwing it to the top here. Gonna work our way down. There, so this is now gonna bring it into plane on the end. And then the same thing over here. This is the one that's sticking out so far. So we're just gonna work our screws down. It might be easier to do that. There, so now that helps straighten this out because this board is a lot stronger in this position than one of these flat boards. They can have a little bit of movement. So now that we have the door mainly framed, we're just gonna come through. I'm gonna cut out my girt. Just gotta be careful so you don't pinch. Okay, now we're just gonna go ahead and quickly fill in these spots here. 31. What this is gonna do is give us a place for our trims that go around the door, and if we need to fasten any steel or the door itself to this area, we'll have something solid here to do so. Okay, and then I'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so now we have a door jamb or door frame installed, and this is where, because people ask this question, this is where the concrete's gonna come up to. So the door will sit on this guy right here, and then everything will get locked into place when the concrete goes in. If they ever do the interior, they've got a jamb extension already built into the door frame, so they can easily frame the inside. Very simple, guys. Doors, windows, and a post frame are great because you can decide to put them wherever you want to after the fact for the most part. You know, it's a little bit tricky, like I said, if you've got a post where you want a door or window, but you don't have to plan so early on or have all that framing done before you build. It can all be done accurately and very precisely with a level or a laser after the building is up and, you know, structurally sound. So hopefully this is helpful to you guys. I don't know, I've done this a couple times, but there's a lot of you out there that are new following the channel, and those of you that haven't started following the channel, maybe think about hitting that subscribe button if you enjoyed the content or want to see more construction related content. But yeah, that's door window framing. Let me know down below if there's something else you guys want to see more in depth about, and I'll try to do that. But with that, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. We'll catch you guys on the next video.